Aggrend has made some really strange comments here. Okay, our favorite boy in the planet, Aggrend, who went to Twitter. Can you imagine that? Aggrend tweeting. Okay, this one is spicy. Okay, I guess Aggrend left this one for last for a reason. Okay, the Warrior, Jake. You read this one before? This one is gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the famous one.
I mean, this is not
say
something
for
new.
The audience.
This is not something new. We have been discussing this for a while in both of our channels, but Warriors. Rage is a problematic mechanic because more damage equals more rage, which equals more damage equals more rage ad infinitum. That's a positive feedback loop. That is absolutely true. It's a positive feedback loop. This might become more problematic at 60 as well. If we had to do it over again, we would likely normalize rage. Good luck with Reddit on that one. Like, somebody's gonna have your ass for dinner right there. For example, you don't get extra damage when you do more damage or crit. That's stupid. Even in retail, when you get more damage when you crit, more rage when you crit. At the start of the season and focused on major changes to their gameplay to compensate, the way it works now really hamstrings, get it? Really hamstrings the design options for Warriors, as we have to worry about the historically best DPS in the game becoming even better later and forcing us to do absolutely massive nerf, which everyone would hate. To you, what would be a good trade for some sort of normalized rage? Oh god, what would be the good trade? What would be a good trade for some normalized rage at 60 if we had to do such a thing?
Yeah, like, I think that they could normalize it and make it not cringe, but I just don't think they will. But what their problem is, if they're smart, this is what their problem is if they're dumb. If they're dumb, you look at the distribution of damage, you look at people who are all the way on the right side on the damage distribution, so people who are doing the most DPS, you go look at the Alandos, and I don't want to name off a bunch of people because I'm just going to say my friends, but like, I don't know Alando, but like Alando or like other people that are like way up there. And you only nerf them basically in the distribution. That's that's what I think Blizzard will go with. So that would be like, we're going to normalize rage and we're just going to basically make either all warriors do less damage, or we're going to make it so the top end is lowered and the bottom end's not higher. I think the biggest problem with warrior is that, and this exists in like all the versions of the game kinda, is that the bottom end is really low and the top end is really high. If you normalize rage to squeeze the distribution a little bit, I think that's okay. Like if the best warriors in the world did 15% less damage, assuming that still means they make sense to take to raid, I don't think that'd be the end of the world. But you better make the low end better too, which I don't think that they would do. So like maybe what they could do is, and this would be an idea of how you could have the same effect as normalizing rage. What if warriors by default had infinite rage? No matter what, you have infinite rage no matter what, and all that matters is managing your cooldowns and using your moves in relation to each other. If they did something like that, and okay, so it's like first step, infinite rage for warriors. Second step, tune down the most boring parts of the rotation. And then you get like the statistical distribution you want for warrior like success. Something like that I think could work. But probably what they'll do is they'll normalize rage and they'll make it so on average you just like you feel a little rage starved always. And that'll be dog. That's probably what they'll do.
The TVC world right there.
Yeah. But if they gave like every warrior the same rage and that amount was infinite and then they tuned damage down, I think most warriors would have a better time. Cuz like that's the worst thing about being warrior is like in a lot of people's eyes is, hey, you might not be able to hit any buttons. If you don't have good gear, you might not be able to hit any buttons. So like, it's not just that you scale hard. It's like the amount of decisions you make scales down if your damage isn't high. So it's like it cuts in a couple dimensions. You
know what? The part that really gets me is that like he proved, I don't know how long he has been aware of this problem because we have been saying this from the start, that he seems to understand the rage problem, the rage more damage equals more rage. Why the hell, if you understand that, you give us more percentage damage instead of giving us new abilities? Why do you go ahead and nerf Raging Blow instead of buffing Raging Blow and nerfing Flagellation? It just makes no sense. Raging Blow is not gonna give us more rage if it does more damage. Just take away all the percentage modifiers and give us abilities. And maybe give us rage on top of that. Like, honestly, like if the meta was going endless rage and Raging Blow and a bunch of abilities like that instead of getting more damage percentage, That would be the play, but like you knew this would be a problem, that if the warriors get more damage and that means more rage, and you gave us like 3 runes that give us, like 4 runes that give us 10% more damage anyway. Like act like you mean this problem is a problem, because like you clearly did the opposite. You exacerbated the problem even more when you could have just as easily gave us like a new slam or something, and everyone would have been happy. Warriors do not even like these runes. They say it's boring. And like they are a balanced nightmare. You pinned yourself into this corner on your own, Aggrend. This is not the vanilla design. You made it even worse.
Yeah, like I think if they wanted to give us runes, if you give warriors runes that use the global cooldown up, so like this is a thing where I think a really big thing that they up with runes is when they give casters runes, they're replacing one GCD with another. So like if the spells have the same scaling, then all a rune is it's the same. Like let's say you have Frostbolt and now you have Frostfire Bolt. Like if they scale the same with spell power, then they're the same spell basically. They have different flavor, they have different base damages. So the only difference is base damages on most classes. That's the primary difference that runes is given. Warriors, since you're not making them actually saturate their globals, you're giving them things that scale out to the whole class. Giving that isn't limited by the global cooldown was a great way to make us impossible to balance. Really, really, really great way. Like you said, with Raging Blow, if they gave us 7 versions of Raging Blow that all had different like
I would have been happy.
Well, that would probably make us be people would probably have more fun playing with rotation wise, but also we would be way easier to balance, because now they got to take the percentage modifiers away, which I mean I'd be fine with. Like really, like they should go message like guys like Alondo, Iraqi, other people who are running like really successful guilds and be like, hey, here's like can you like honestly they should message a few guys like this and be like, can we fly you out to like the West Coast and give you like $2,000 for a weekend and you play like an in-house version of this and we just test really fast. Like if they were super serious, they could fix that right away and then just make sure that at like the elite level of play it makes some sense and then go tweak some from there.
I mean, this is just common sense. Like, we're not mathematicians or top parsing warriors in the world here, and we understand this is a problem that he made worse. Like, this is just common sense right here. That like at first I thought he just didn't play warrior, but it's very clear from this post that he seems to understand the problem. But like, you made it 50% harder to fix now.
Yeah, they could scale. Like, I mean, it's weird. Like, I think like Flagellation's OP, but it's kind of fun. I kind of almost wonder, could you literally just take the Pants Rune away from Warriors if you think they're too OP? Like, take the Pants Rune off the class and, like, increase base rage generation or something, so that way the bottom end, like, of Warriors doesn't just get totally railed from that. Like, I don't know. There's ways that they could change rage and, like, make the game more fun and make it feel better for other classes. I don't think that they'll do that, because I think that they're kind of stupid with how they balance things.
I know, I think
maybe it's more like they have a different intelligence.
I think it's like they really understand some classes and they completely don't got any idea what to do with some other classes. Even within the class, like they nailed the rest of the Druid and they completely destroyed the Feral Druid for 3 phases. Like they didn't bat an eye to that. It's just like I think we've said this before, but like I think like whatever class the developers play, that's a class that gets like reasonable balance. Not because they are like biased to the class or because they want their class to be good, like just because they understand it. Period. I think they simply don't understand the warrior. They simply don't understand the cat. They simply don't understand the bear. They probably do not understand the holy paladin. I mean, who does? But yeah, I think that's the main issue with that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think the developers probably actually make too many of the balance decisions. Although like Aggrend and all them, they always like indicate it like that, because I think that's like a dream players have. Like. And this will be like a meme too that like I'll see, just like telling people I'm a programmer. If you play video games and you tell people you're a programmer, a lot of people think you're a lot smarter than you are, because like they just like project all of their favorite characteristics of like video games. In the same way, it's like if you're talking to people in their 20s and you online tell them you're a police officer, they project anti good things onto you. I don't believe that these devs really have all that much decision-making power on how things get balanced.
Some of them have the balance change does, and it's very clear that guy doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, somebody's designing this, and it's very clear they got no idea what they're doing. I don't know who it is. Totally I don't care who it is, honestly. But like whoever it is not doing a good job on half the classes.
I kind of wonder if there's maybe even like an internal directive that like the changes they put in need to have already been like developed before. Because I remember that was also a thing that would like get brought up at work, was like this notion of not doing like new dev work when like you have like old stuff that like does a similar shit. But
They
like
are
quite often like
copy-pasting
forcing
abilities.
yourself. Yeah, like a lot of times using old is more work than making new. It depends, not always, obviously. Like using old, if you can reuse stuff, that's way better than like reinventing the wheel. But man, it really is interesting how they've added a whole bunch of things that are like literally from other versions of the game. Really makes you think.
Well, you know, like in electrician work, we charge by the box. Like, you know, like an outlet does a box. So if I gotta do a house, if I gotta build a house, the electrical wiring of it, like this house has 40, 50, 100 boxes, I charge you a certain rate depending on the box. Okay, it's a standard in the industry that to rewire a box, it is way more expensive than to make a new house, than to make the new wiring on. It's for that reason, because you gotta figure out what the hell the previous guy did. That takes way more time than just doing it again. There's some stuff out there that I'm pretty sure is 2004 code. Like the Ragnaros thing, the random name thing, that's just straight 2004 code right there. Like, how did they not make that raid from scratch again? Like when there's like 6 bosses with no mechanics, is beyond me. But like that's like one of the examples. It's really, really stupid.
Yeah, there's so many things that don't require new can make the game better. Just in general, I hate that like they're with Season of Discovery, they could do a fresh take on an old game. So like for example, people doing these Mara runs and they could have simply they could have like added like one mechanic to Princess and put different loot on it and increase the health and like base attack damage of the boss and like called it a raid. And if maybe people would think that's lazy if they did like that, but if they did like that and people's experience playing on that easy was good, they wouldn't really care. Well, I don't think at all, because like really that would be like more than like actual classic WoW is.
That would require work.
I don't know. I think it would be less than even what they're doing. Like if they took the base game of classic, or another thing was people loved playing the I didn't get to do it at the level 60 classic beta. They could have literally had Season of Discovery be the level 60 classic beta, where like you can only level up a certain amount of levels at a time. And then they could have changed the base like scaling values on things. They could have made it maybe so Shadow Priests get triple scaling. And those could have been the ways that they put changes in. They could have started with a known awesome thing and slowly tweaked it to a particular vision.
Like, I think it's one of those things where like the executives do not really, because they are not programmers, they are like lawyers or like whatever the heck executives are nowadays. What are executives in big tech companies usually nowadays? I don't even know. But I assure you they are not programmers.
Or programmers.
They
like
are?
forever ago, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I think at the big companies. Not like at like Activision Blizzard. Like I don't think Bobby Kotick was, although maybe he was, but like at like
he was a lawyer.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, like I don't know, like, but I'm pretty sure like whoever is up there doesn't really understand programming, and like he's just common sense it up. Like in your head on paper, it makes a lot more sense to use like old code, old assets instead of making new ones. But like there's like stacking inefficiencies of that they cannot understand. I mean that's just.
Yeah, I don't know if being a programmer is too important for like game balance. Like I think like almost anyone, like I don't know. I think like probably most people who are scared of computers and are just really passionate about WoW would make better balance decisions than some of the brightest engineers to ever live.
I can see that. I can see that.
I think like a lot of it is these executives, they don't actually own the company, and their compensation packages are probably often tied to pretty short-term goals. I bet you that Aggrend said like 6 months ago that they weren't just planning on using retail stuff, and now he's basically saying we were always planning on just using retail stuff. Now we changed our mind. I think
that's
the guy
a Freudian slip right there.
He's completely unbelievable. He is completely unbelievable. Not to say that there's anything he could do that would make me believe him. There's not a thing he could do that would make me believe him, because I just don't think the incentive structure makes sense for him to be able to just tell the truth. Because like why would Blizzard set it up where he could just say whatever the he wants? That'd be so crazy of them.
Like I think it is bad for the company that he talks so much on Twitter, but like he obviously is doing it with Blizzard's permission. You don't get to run like a. How much is World of Warcraft worth at this point? Like several $1 billion, the IP, if you were to sell it tomorrow. I don't think they would give the keys to somebody to just manage do the PR for a franchise like that without like a lot of oversight. That's just unfathomable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think it makes the company look good, but like I know the streamer seems to love Aggrend. They seem to love him, so maybe that's making him look good. I don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, the streamers have to because they're worried about getting canceled. I mean, most of the streamers they can't say things that are true because they're so worried. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Me and you just gave up on that. Like, we'd never get like invited to BlizzCon if we got like really big one day. Like, that's over. Like, that's okay. Yeah, I think like just most people putting content out online. Like, I mean, really, they feel like there's a lot financially at risk about bad mouthing Blizzard. I just don't really think there is. There's a lot of it. Like, I mean, like, how big of an edge is it content wise to be able to do one IRL stream at BlizzCon every year if they do it every year?
You know what? I'll pay for my own ticket. If I want to go to BlizzCon one day and like Blizzard doesn't like me, I'll pay for my own ticket. I'm gonna pay for my own ticket and go there on my own money. How about that? It's just dumb. Like what? You get a classic beta a week earlier? Like you cannot say they should fire Ion Hasicostas anymore? Is that worth your soul? Screw that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think they're all that bad of people for doing that, but I think that's like, it's like most streamers, you can't really trust what they say in regards to Blizzard. They can talk about the game balance, but like when it comes to like saying that like Blizzard's being dishonest or something, that's like off the table for them. But I mean, they can say like, oh, the game balance isn't great, blah, 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 blah. But like, they wouldn't, I think, be able to safely say like, hey, Aggrend is obviously lying because he's probably making at least $200,000 a year and doesn't want to get fired. And obviously he is approved to say this because if he wasn't approved to say this, he would be fired.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no way in hell he's doing this without Blizzard's approval. I just think it's a bad move regardless. But I doubt it.
I think because most people don't think that way. Like, most people are kind of stupid. They don't.
I am stupid.
They don't realize that like he's like most people think Aggrend is like just doing us a favor, like in his free time, getting on, just trying to help us out. It's like, no, dude. Like, Aggrend has the opportunity to spam on Twitter that is nonsense and get his name out there everywhere. One day, if Aggrend wanted to become a streamer, he would just instantly be an enormous one. Aggrend is creating. He's probably created like $1 million worth of brand identity for himself during SOD. Like, that's a way to look at it. Like, if Aggrend could sell his name to somebody else, probably worth like $1 million more.
That's why they put not compete on them.
Yeah, so it's like this is it's good for Aggrend. Like, it's really, really good for Aggrend to be able to go on Twitter and smear your name on everything.
And that's with me as saying that I am so happy that we got this guy instead of Ion. Like, that's how low the bar is. That I am like thrilled to have this guy running Sol. Like, all in all, I think that's probably the best result we could have hoped for, and it's still what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it's a bad thing that we have Aggrend. I'm not saying that, but I think just like it's funny when people think that like it's not on purpose. It's like it's not on purpose, dude.
Yeah, like there was a whole rehash of the PR team 2 years ago in Blizzard, and like their new PR strategy is a lot better than what it used to be, because what it used to be before was really dumb. So I bet this probably has to do with that.